I'm currently on vacation right now. I haven't seen, certain family members in years, so I decided to take a Greyhound bus from one state to another. The reason I didn't use an airplane is because I don't like being that high in the sky. And it's really ironic too, because when I was in the army, I've been on like at least 10 flights, So, and those flights are mandatory. In fact, yeah, I need to get over my fear of heights, basically. And I want to visit Hawaii someday, so yeah, I definitely got to work on that. Anyway, I decided to use Greyhound bus travel to travel back because with a car having to drive all night, plus gas prices and other stupid stuff, I figured, hey, Greyhound bus. There's one in my area. I can just arrange for a Greyhound bus ticket. And the thing is, the Greyhound bus tickets are actually relatively super cheap, like at least under $200, and you can pretty much use those to pretty much get around all over America. And so I decided to take a Greyhound bus that was about 2 days long. Now, I wasn't on the same bus. I had to switch to about four buses. But overall, I managed to get to my destination on time. That is one thing I will give Greyhound buses, at least the drivers anyway. They are very on time and punctual. There are statistics to how fast, a Greyhound bus can get to one area to another. And that's really cool. But oh my goodness, the chaos that I witnessed on my travels to Greyhound through via Greyhound were just interesting. It was extremely ghetto, and I wasn't even expect. Well, no, I should have expected it, but I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. In my area, many of the people are act like adults. You know, I go to a church, I see other adults who have adult responsibilities. The only bad types of people in my area are college kids. I live in a college town. I live in a college town. I said town. I live in a college town. And the college town, the worst we get is like maybe some drunk kids and maybe like a drunk soldiers or something. Overall, nothing that really affects me in the grand scheme of things. And this Greyhound bus travel, it was quite crazy. So one area I had to stop off at was St. Louis, Missouri, and on the way there, uh, there's like this person who was switching seats, and on the Greyhound, the bus drivers they don't want you to switch seats at all. Because if there's like an accident or something, everybody has to be in their right seat to make themselves easier to identify. Anyway, this one individual kept switching seats for some reason, and this halted the trip. The bus driver ended up having to call the police. And then some other individuals, one of them was like a transgender person. They're like, oh my God, the bus driver, oh my God, he can't do that. He can't kick off people. And I actually looked it up on Google. A Greyhound bus driver has every right to kick off someone if they have legitimate cause. If that passenger is causing trouble or whatever, or smoking, or doing something that violates the rules, a Greyhound bus driver has every legal right to just straight up kick them off in the middle of the road. And that was fascinating to watch. So yeah, the police actually came and got called on, or called and came, and the transgender people that were feeling sympathetic towards the to the stranger that kept switching seats, they decided to just leave with him for some reason. I mean, they pretty much just threw away their money, and you could tell that a lot of these people on Greyhound buses they don't have much money on them. I mean, I overheard conversations where people were like, "Oh man, I don't have enough money to afford basic bills and rent." And look, I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything, but that's just true. Anyway, yeah, and then when we got to St. Louis, or no, when we got to yeah, I'm sorry for stuttering. When I finally got to St. Louis and Atlanta, those Greyhound bus stations, those areas were very ghetto. They're usually Greyhound buses are usually found in bad neighborhoods. Not all the time. The Greyhound bus that showed up in my area, it was a good neighborhood, but a lot of them also appear in low income, poor neighborhoods as well. And I got to see like prostitutes in Atlanta and all that kind of shit. Anyway, I I got to the Greyhound bus station in St. Louis, and since there was a delay, there were people who were arguing with the staff there. And here's something I noticed: I didn't see one staff worker that was white who worked at Greyhound, like one white security guard, but the actual workers of Greyhound, they're usually black people. And I'm not trying to generalize or nothing, but God bless their souls, because being a Greyhound worker probably has to be one of the most worst jobs ever, because you are constantly interacting with stupid people who can't follow basic common sense, that can't read signs, that can't understand how freaking apps work, that can't understand how time works. There's a lot of yelling, and I noticed that too with the contrast between traveling on airplanes and through Greyhound. Don't get me wrong, plane flights, I've seen videos. They usually have very stupid customers as well. I've seen entitled white Karens literally had to get arrested and escorted off the plane flight, which is hilarious. But with Greyhound, is usually the same type of shit, but with minorities in it. And yeah, I felt so bad for the workers because they're just getting asked stupid questions. One bus driver, he had to lay down the law on the bus because, yeah, he wasn't having it. I actually looked it up. Greyhound bus drivers, they get to about $15 to $20 per hour, which it was just pretty good. A Greyhound bus driver basically makes $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and hey, if you're a single person, that especially makes bank. You know, and I was just thinking to myself, thank God I'm an Army veteran who gets a disability pay every month, because I could not work as a Greyhound bus driver at all. There was one woman who was getting bombarded with people asking questions because, there was a delay, so people were confused about when their next bus goes. And, I wanted to ask her a question myself since this was my first time doing Greyhound bus travel, but I was like, nah, she looks like she's having a bad day. So I didn't bother asking her. Thankfully, the app that I was using to track my bus schedule, it worked out. And yeah, and I hate to generalize this, but on Greyhound there are a lot of ghetto low class people. I literally got to hear one bitch talk about how she fought, or how she was going to fight some other woman over the phone, and she was talking about this situation for like 3 hours. One thing I do recommend bringing if you decide to take this God forbidden travel method is that, one, you bring yourself a portable charger. Greyhound buses, they do have charger ports, but there's no guarantee that they'll work. Bring a portable charger with you. Bring a book with you or something to keep you distracted, and definitely bring some headphones with you, because on Greyhound bus travel, there are people that just generally won't shut up. And like nobody was talking to me, but there were a lot of loud people, very outspoken people. A lot of people asking very stupid questions, and the driver had to ignore them. You know, and another thing I recommend doing is that if you decide to take Greyhound, get buy more than one seat. Because there's a good chance you'll have to share your seat with someone else. But if you buy two seats, which you can, you'll have two seats to yourself. And no matter what you do, if someone just tries to sit in your seat, I worded that wrong. Basically, if you get two seats and someone tries to sit in your seat, make sure you let the bus driver know that, hey, I paid extra for this seat, thus I'm entitled to this seat. Uh, but yeah, never doing that shit again. I'm using Amtrak. I hear Amtrak's better, and I looked up Amtrak online, and the seats and quality look way better. My I actually got a message from my sister when I told her my experience. She was like, "Yeah, what did you expect? Greyhound's the type of bus travel that people use when they just got out of prison." And I was like, "Yeah, I could definitely feel that." You know, and it wasn't just black people. There were also annoying, strange white people as well. Some people couldn't speak goddamn English, and like I was also pretty annoyed by this one family, this woman and man, and they had a kid with them. And I was just wondering, why would you bring your child on a Greyhound bus travel? Like, what made you get into that financial situation where you're like, oh
That's
shit,
so
where you're like,
ugly.
oh shit, I gotta use Greyhound bus travel. I better bring my kid along. I personally feel like if you're gonna have kids, you better be in a financial spot where you can actually afford it. Anyway, I'm pretty much I'm not making any videos for a while because I'm on vacation. And yeah. Anyway, yeah, Greyhound bus travel is ghetto as fuck, and I feel bad for the workers. I actually, one of the bus drivers, I actually felt the need to thank them for their service because being a Greyhound bus driver sounds awful. Having to deal with a bunch of stupid, entitled, low educated people who come from a horrible background and never felt the need to better themselves.